going through the last parts, right? And the psychology of this is they're not going to want to, they don't want to make a rush decision in a way. And so we want to really de-arm them with this. So tonality is going to be huge with the I need to think about it, right? So you're getting in here, you ask the closing questions, boom. Hey, you go through, boom, and you ask the closing question. Hey, out of these three, I guess which one would make you feel most comfortable, right? We're going here. So from those three options, I guess for you in your situation, which would you feel the most comfortable leaving behind for Miss Mary? They say, yeah, I really need to think about it. Hey, totally understand. Let me ask you this. Does everything about the policy, I guess, make sense to you? Because the only reason they really need to think about it is because they don't have enough information, right? And the only source of information that they have is us. And so this is why we ask, like we say it in this way, like, does everything about the, I already know what I'm going to say, right? But it's coming back to the, does everything about the, I guess, policy make sense to you? And then whatever they say, you're like, okay, perfect. And what do you like most about it? And pretty much here they're going to start selling themselves on why they want it and why they think they should do it, right? And so then you let them go, let them talk, and you say, okay, all we can do today is actually apply for the coverage. And while the insurance company thinks you'll have actually 30 days to really make sure you like this $10,000 plan, and if you decide you want to add later, we can definitely can. But let's even see if we can get you qualified. You listed your beneficiary was this, like whatever, is that right? Go through, ask the beneficiary, and then here's where you solidify this that they're buying, right? You go back because you ask the beneficiary, and then you say, hey, like, do you want to start with the $10,000 plan, or did you want to go with the 12,000, right? Because this is going to solidify the sale. This is going to solidify a decision that they want the $10,000 plan. And I learned from Grant Cardone. He said, not a lot of times you need to pitch higher, and that'll cement the sale. So they're like, okay, perfect. You get the beneficiary, and then you say, and did you want to start with the $10,000 plan, or I mean, did you want to go with the 12,000? Because it's only like, and you share like the price difference, right? So it's only like $15 more, and you're getting 2,000 more of coverage. Did you want to start with that or more of the 10,000? And then that's another closing question, right? Boom, got the sale. Let's keep going. Then you start going through the app. Does that make sense? Do you guys have any questions on that? No?
No, it's good, man.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, cool. So, do you guys see the tonality there though? Like it's more of a lot of people want to like blast them, but you don't want to be aggressive because that'll create resistance. So the way that I'm asking the question and the tonality is really least resistance possible, and you're really like non-invasive. Like, I guess let me ask you this. Does everything about the, I guess, policy make sense to you? Boom. Like, and you let them talk. Right. So, cool. So, all right, let's role play this because this is it does take a while to really get through this. Kevin, we'll start with you. So you just asked me the closing questions. So yeah, I really need to think about this one, Kevin. I really appreciate you taking time. Like, you're great. This is awesome. I just really need to think this one through and sleep on it.
Yeah, I totally understand. Let me ask you this. Does everything about the policy make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. So real quick, let me stop you there. So you want to go like more, like a little bit more curious on that, right? So it's like, because I think for that, like, if you come straight at them with this, like, you want to be very thought out, because here's why, right? When I'm like saying like, let me ask you this, if I like, and they like, I'm having Tonality really making sure that like they really think that this is super thought out. So whatever I'm about to say, they're really going to think about this. That's what you want them to do, right? And that's what's going to pull the guard down is like, let me ask you this, like, does everything about the, I guess, policy make sense to you? Right? So it's like really like thought out. I know what I'm going to say, right? But it's like very thought out because it puts more emphasis what I'm about to say.
Okay.
All right, so go again. Yeah, I need
Okay.
to think about it.
I totally understand. Let me ask you this. Does everything about the policy make sense to you?
That's better.
Yeah.
That's better for sure. Yeah, yeah, I mean everything makes sense to me.
What do you like about it most?
Um, well, the day one coverage is definitely helpful. And then I do like that it doubles if you die of an accident because like I'm super healthy. So like I don't see myself dying in the next 10 to 15 years, but this is something that I mean it's a big decision. So I really need to think this over.
All we can do actually today is apply for the coverage. And while the insurance company thinks about it, you have the 30 days to really make sure you like the 10,000 plan. If you decide you want to add later, we could definitely do that. But let's see if we could even get you qualified.
Pretty good. Um that's so this is more like very curious, very curious, very curious, right? These two lines. But
Yeah.
then here, this is where you're really going to take control of the sale and take control of what's going on next, right? You've been doing this for a while. I mean, we help thousands of families. All we can do today is actually see if we can even get you, like, even apply for the coverage. And while the insurance company thinks you'll actually have 30 days to really think this over and really make sure you like the $10,000 plan. And if you decide later, hey, we can definitely do that. But let's see if we can even get you qualified here. Boom. Take it away.
That makes sense.
Good stuff. All right, cool. Austin.
Let's hit it.
All right. Hey, Austin, I love what you're saying. I really need to think this one through. Can you call me back like what's today? Tuesday? Can you call me back Friday?
Yeah, Johnny, I totally understand. Let me ask you this real quick. Does everything like make sense to you about the policy?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what did you like about it the most?
Um, I would say like the day one coverage. I mean, God forbid if I were to die in the next year and a half, like I mean that policy is not going to pay out and actually like I like how it would pay all my final expenses off.
Mm-hmm. Well, all we can really do today is actually just apply for the coverage. And while the insurance company really thinks about it as well, you'll have 30 days to really make your decision if you want to keep the plan or not. If you decide you want to add on later, we can definitely do that as well. But let's just see if we can even get you qualified. You said you wanted to list your wife as your beneficiary. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. And did you want to start with that $10,000 plan, or did you want to go with that exclusive offer of 12,000?
Um, I mean, it's only like what? Yeah, it's only like $15 difference. I mean, if I can afford 50, I can afford 65. All right, let's just go with the $12,000 plan.
Awesome. We'll see if we can get you qualified. What was your date of birth?
Boom. Love it. I would stay away from like you could get rid of it or like see if you like that. Like I would stay away from that. It's more like because that's like making this the decision
Yeah.
if they want it or not. It's more of do they want the decision's made? We're assuming the sale, but it's like, do you want the $10,000 plan or the $12,000 plan? That's
Yeah.
what we're really letting them think about, right?
Just like more like you have 30 days to really decide if you want to go up or down in coverage.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. So that's good though. Your tonality is fantastic on that, and it really draws you in more. So, Marquil, let's get it.
Let's go.
All right. Yeah, Markeel, love the numbers. It's actually $5 cheaper than what I had before. So today's Tuesday. Can you call me back? Not next week. I'm really busy. The following week, and we could take care of this.
Hey, I totally understand, but let me ask you this: does everything about the policy make sense to you?
Yes.
And kind of fill me in. What do you like most about the policy?
I would say I like that it pays out day one. I mean,
Hmm.
you never know. And it
Yeah,
also doubles if you die of an accident. I'm healthy. I mean, I don't see myself dying here in the next few years, but if I were to die, my wife would get, I mean, double. So that I really like that as well.
yeah, yeah. It sounds super important to you. And hey, all we can do today is actually apply for the coverage. And while the insurance company thinks you actually have 30 days to really make sure that you like this $10,000 plan. And if you decide you want to add later, we can definitely do that. But let's see if you can even get qualified. You said you wanted your beneficiary to be Sarah, your daughter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you want to start with the 10K plan, or did you want to go with the 12K plan?
So okay, with this that you it's like a subtle upsell, but it's also cementing the sale, right? At the end
Hmm.
of the day, the whole goal of this is to not get a no. I'm cool with taking an app. I'd rather have an app than no app, even if it's $10,000 and you don't want to lose the sale here. It's more to cement the sale, right? So it's more like, hey,
Yeah.
I mean, so did you want to start with the $10,000 plan? I mean, like I'm looking at this, it's only like $10 more for the $12,000 plan. Did you just want to go with that?
Okay.
And then at that point, they're making the decision that they want it. Does that
Awesome.
make sense?
Yep.
So that's good. I would say at the beginning, the front part, like it's super crucial tonality right here. Like tonality is gonna win or lose this sale right here. Of like, let me ask you this. Like, can you really like? I would say for all of you guys, like you want to like feel like you're exaggerating it a lot more because I think like it's easy to feel like you're saying it a certain way, but it's like you're not, right? Like you want to really exaggerate this, like really draw them in. Does everything about the policy, I guess, make sense to you? Boom. So that's good. That's we got a lot there. Do you guys have any questions on that or things you want me to go a little bit more over on this? If you guys do, it's cool.
So as far as the tonality, is it? I know you said exact. Okay, so the podcast you did with Mason, he said conviction fixes your tone. So is that kind of how you like? I don't know what. Like, is that kind
Yeah,
of how
I see
you?
what you're saying. I
Yeah.
see what you're saying. I think that's part of it for sure, right? So that's like that's the whole time like there you're right. Like conviction is the number one thing that you can use today to start doing it. And that the conviction comes of you doing this for a while, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna come more and more and more, right? I speak with a lot of conviction on this because I've done it for a while. I've been able to overcome these objections. I've been able to do and go out and issue a lot, but it's like it comes with time and like the more that you can like just get in the game and just do the reps and do like the work and get the dials in and run the appointments, the more that you're gonna get more convicted of like this is how it goes, right? You're not phased by the objection. But also it's a frame of mind of like, hey, if I were to already have run 10,000 appointments and have 10,000 people say I need to think about it, are you gonna be phased at that time? No.
Nope.
You've had it happen so much, but it's like, okay, what's different about that than this? Like, yeah, like you haven't had that, but at the same time, like you can still live in that frame of mind,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
it's like this is scary, right? Like when I would like at first, like I sometimes I still get phased by this, to be honest. Like I still do get nervous that they're gonna say I need to think about it, or hey, it sounds great. Let me talk to my wife about it, things like that. But at the same time, like it's speaking with conviction, knowing that, hey, like literally you don't have any coverage. I'm not going to say this, right? But like you don't have any coverage in place. If you were to die, I've seen this happen thousands and thousands of times where, God forbid, if you were to die, your wife is going to have to pay $10,000 on a credit card, going to go in debt. I mean, this is literally $40 a month or $80 a month or even $100 a month. Let's make sure she's like taken care of. That's the conviction that we speak with, right? So it's kind of it's twofold there of like we're doing the right thing, being able to make sure that they have coverage in place when that time does come, because you never know when it's going to happen, right? So does that make sense?
Yep. If you could sell it to your mom, I think you could sell it to anybody.
I get more nervous. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just want to jump in. You mentioned like, oh, we may not say this word for word, if they don't have coverage in place or whatever the case may be. But how do you have that conviction? I guess I think a lot of us, we have that passion and that conviction, and we know like, hey, any coverage is better than none. But how do you relay that message across to them without maybe crossing a line or, slipping a hair across the rest the wrong way?
That's fair.
If that makes sense.
I can interject to that a little bit.
Yeah,
I think-
Austin used to be bad at this. I'm gonna be honest. Like he used
I
to
think
like say some like pretty ruthless things, and I'm like, you need to you can't say that.
Yeah, you definitely have to show them compassion, but at the same time, like you got to speak with like authority. Like I used to take it too overboard and like push clients off, but definitely like you got to have compassion. Like Johnny said, like when you're like using your tonality, like you have to make it seem like you really care. Like when they're like, yo, my God, like I just buried my husband, and you're like, oh my gosh, like when was that? Like what happened? Like he was so young, like that must have been so hard on you. Like at the same time, like when you're asking your why questions, like you're acting as the authority, but you're still showing that you care about the client. So like that level of respect is still there. I think it increases more when you show how much you care. But you can't you got to play offense and defense during a presentation. It's got to work both ways. For you, Markeel, I think when I heard you doing your the objections too, like you have such an assertive voice, dude. I would honestly slow down like in the start. Like I don't know, it just like I feel like your tonality would get even better. Like whenever you like get to the point where you're like, well, like does everything make sense to you about the policy? Like for me, man, I can say it a little faster. Like my voice isn't as assertive. Like for you, like if you slow that down, it's gonna make it seem like you're really digging in and like, trying to figure out what's going on with them. But yeah, I think I went a little bit off topic. Tyler, did I answer what you were saying? Awesome.
It does come with earlier in the sale of like building rapport, and that's where rapport is not, hey, what's the weather like? How's that going? Like it's not, rapport is not that, but it's like when you're really digging in those questions of like, kind of fill me in here, like what got you motivated to start looking for life insurance in the first place? Like what had you motivated? Like you just randomly saw an ad and all of a sudden you wanted life insurance? Like, no, like let's dig a little deeper. And it's really going into like when they say they just had a death, like boom, like they're opening the door. Like let's peel back the onion a little bit. Did they have coverage in place? How did that affect their financial situation? What did that look like for them? Walk me through that. Let's kind of like dig a little deeper and sit in there.
It's finding common ground on the issues that you're trying to solve for them.
Correct.
Like that's all like rapport should be like. That's all the rapport you should be building during the call. Like don't talk about the weather. Don't talk about, what the heck they've been watching on TV all day or where they're going to eat for dinner later. Like it's wasted time on the call. Find out what their issues are, what we're trying to solve them, and talk about those. because that makes it real. Like, we're trying to sell them something that they're never gonna see. Like, they're gonna pay for it the rest of their life, but they're never gonna be able to see it. Like, it's not tangible.
Yep.
We have to like ask the right questions to make it real. Like, they have to feel the pain to like want it. So like those are just super important.
And the bigger that you can like create that like pain, it literally is a walk. You would just walk through the whole sale. Like literally you just walk by it one by one by one at that point. Like it's super simple. Because if they feel that and they understand that and they like are able to tap into what their family had gone through previously when she had to bury her two brothers or he had to bury whoever, then it's like a no-brainer at that point. What were you gonna say, Tyler?
Yep. And one thing, like say when we get pushback on price or whatever, one of my first thoughts is, and I don't know how to say it in a more polite manner, but my automatic thought is, well, if you can't afford this coverage, then I'm assuming it's going to be pretty hard for your family to afford, to take care of those final expenses. Sure, there could be different situations. Maybe their kids are more well off or whatever the case may be. But, I guess, do you, Austin, or anybody have any input of like, how to kind of reposition that if like, if $80 a month is something that's going to be a challenge for you to come up with, how would you expect your husband or your wife to come up with, $5, $10, $15,000? And one thing too, and I've phrased this kind of like this before, and I don't know if it really, if it helps or not, but, say if they're paying, $100 a month, the reality is it's going to take them close to 10 years, and especially if say they were putting in consistently saving $100 a month, it would take them almost 10 years to be able to accumulate, $10,000, where a lot of time the exchange, for what their premium is, if something were to happen tomorrow, it's a pretty fair shakedown. But I guess kind of back to my original question is like, how, would you guys approach it or be able to position and frame it where it's like, well, if you can, whether not afford the coverage or barely would be able to afford it, how would that, how would a unexpected event, like a death, take a toll on the rest of the family?
I think it handles it in the objection sheet. Kind of exactly what you need to say, just like reframe it a little bit different, but exactly like your answer is right there on the objection sheet, like where it says it addresses like not wanting your kids to pay for it, or if the price is just too high, like it addresses both those. I think it's good, like, not to complicate it too much. Like, practice the same objections and just like know those like the back of your hand and use them, like, because all objections are pretty much the same. If they word it a little bit different, usually it's the same objection, it's just worded a little differently.
Yeah.
And so, Johnny, for you, do you make like every sale the same in a sense?
It's different. I mean, some I could make in 5 minutes. Some I need time, right? I need to like really talk through this, but like, it's not going to be the same every time. The framework's the same. I ask the same questions, right? It's a whole recipe that you put together. Sometimes I'm going to ask at the beginning of the thing, hey, were you looking to cover the burial? Were you looking to go down the burial or cremation route? Were you looking to cover just the final expense or leave a little extra? Do you have any coverage in place currently? Like, these are all questions on the script that, like, as long as you ask them, it's like a recipe. Like, it doesn't matter if you put the eggs first or like the batter first. It really doesn't matter when you're baking the cake, right? It's a matter as if it's all in there at the same time when you put the cake in. So it's like, that's how I look at the sale. Like, hey, I'm asking these questions. I can ask them in different places. Like sometimes at the beginning of the sale, I'll ask right away, kind of fill me in. Like, what got you motivated to start looking for life insurance? And boom, it's right there. Hey, like, price is too high on my policy. Boom, you just walk through, solve a problem right there. You could solve it in 30 seconds or a minute. Then all you're doing is taking the app and you're done in 15 to 20 minutes, right? So each sale is going to be different. It's really asking the questions to like, what are they really looking for? When they say, like, when they do have coverage in place currently, what I say is like, hey, were you looking to add to what you currently had? or were you looking just to kind of get a better rate for what you had? Like, kind of fill me in there, right? And that's why it's super important to ask questions and really listen, because from there, that's what's going to give you the route that you're going to go down. It's a question-based framework, because once you see the problem, you want to go deeper into that, then you come with the solution. Boom. All right, cool. Like, yeah, you just got Colonial Penn. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm assuming that were you looking for the 2-year waiting period? Because I know that they're known for that. Or like, were you looking for something that would pay out right away? That God forbid something were to happen to you tomorrow, like it would pay out right away. So you're not having to pay in the policy 2 years without it paying out. Like, was that what you were looking for, or more something that would pay out right away? Right. So it's not, does that make sense? Like, it's not a matter of like, it's going to be, not everybody's going to be the same, because everybody has a different problem we're trying to solve. Some people are just looking to take care of the cremation. Perfect. Let's get a $1,500 to $3,000 policy in place. Or if they're looking to go down the burial route, hey, let's get a $10,000 to $15,000 in place. Hey, they're looking to cover the burial and leave a little extra. All right, let's look at 30,000. Sometimes that's not feasible, so we have to build a lot more value, right? Because like an 84-year-old coming to you saying that they want 30,000, 40,000 in coverage, it's like, that's going to be like $500, $400 a month. So that's where you really dig in and build value and really ask questions, solve that problem, right? So every sale is going to be different, but as long as you really like ask those certain questions, it's kind of like, okay, you kind of go with the flow with that, right? And you'll over time, you're going to understand and you'll feel it out more of like, hey, like this person, I can just, oh, okay, like they're sharing their needs with me. They're saying, I do have coverage in place. I looked at it and all of a sudden I saw a 2-year waiting period. Like, I don't want that. Like, I want something that would pay out right away. Perfect. Let's solve that problem, even if it's more, right? So it's just, it's different for sure.